this in here. Oh, stop it. Here, now.
Welcome.
Right. Now, for those of you that are listening to this on YouTube, the transcription of this recording is available in the Sedona Journal of Emergence, published by Light Technology, the monthly journal, monthly magazine with channeled information in it. The transcription of this recording will be in that magazine in the October issue. For those of you that are reading this, the additional channelings are also available on YouTube that have not been transcribed, and you're free to check those out.
And we'll put a link.
Yes, we'll put them up. Now, let's get to the issue of, we're going to call it a movement. And there's a reference to movement with wind. You have your sky above you. You have your earth you walk upon. Well, between your sky above you and the earth you walk upon is a space. And there's a being that moves through the space. You interpret it at times as a wind. But there's a being that pushes the wind, and there's a being that pulls the wind. And you're feeling, the beings on the planet, are feeling this shift of consciousness now in the wind. You call it you say, poles are tipping, the earth is wobbling, this planet is coming and affecting this and that. Yes, but you are the present in it. And you've got to be aware of the space and the wind and how you call the wind and how you stop the wind. You have to talk to the wind. It's the invisible presence. The only time you really notice wind is the movement of things. But it is there all of the time in the air you breathe and exhale. You are contributing to the wind. When you exhale, when you speak your words, you're putting your words into the invisible realm of the wind, and consciousness accumulates and distributes. That's what it does. You have forgotten the power of your thoughts, because the thought is what provided the seed for you through your father to the mother. And you became out that. You're in the fetus, you were resting. When you came out of the fetus, you opened your eyes and you had a breath of air. You were no longer a fluidic being. You're an air being, really, manifested out of, how you say, consciousness that provided you food and water and comfort. That's how you got to be manifested. Out of other consciousness, not yours, but you took the opportunities, but what you say will say God shared with you. The food, the water, and the air. That isn't yours. That was given. It is there. You're in this process now of learning respect for the space, not only cleanliness, but in the thought process. Learning respect for the fact that you have bones that you can walk with, because if you didn't have, you'd be a puddle. Your bones have a tone. And the secret of this word, manifesting, is you. You have a body. How did you do that? How did you do that? You did it with the thought processes and what you call streaming dignity, which is within everyone. It's in the bones.
Wait, streaming or screaming?
Stream.
ST. Okay.
S-T-R-E-A-M.
Okay.
Streaming dignity. It's like you're the rocks on the side of a river stream, and the river moves through, passes between the rocks. You're a rock understanding the flow of force. We'll say force. Water flows. And if you're under a waterfall, it drops, and there's a lot of force there. You feel it. That's the essence of gravity in what you call its communication with water. You too, same thing. If you understood the importance of water, and your communication with it, you'd understand how your bones have the certain tones. The clue for these mysteries is given in Ezekiel, in your book of Ezekiel. He was told how to call the bones out of the earth. Now the bones weren't there as bones, though according to the writings you would think they were. But they were in the mineral condition. And the minerals listened to what you would term the voice of God that Ezekiel spoke as, he was told how to say it, and the accumulation of these unified forces produced bones, skeletons, and then the overlays of the thought process developed. That's how you do it. You have the conscious distinction of knowing that you've done something simply by being in a body. You do. You do. You have the conscious distinction of knowing that without your father and your mother you would not be here. Particularly the mother in the nurturing aspect of the fetus. You wouldn't be here. So those things need to be understood. And that was understood in your beginning phase as a fetus in the water. You understood that you were a presence there. And you were, in a moment of realization, I will say, from the concept of your thought going to your father to create the seed to impregnate your mother, you were in the conscious recognition of having accomplished that as a fetus. Yeah. And you breathe the embryonic fluid and produce a being of consciousness. And yes, you did pick up the, thoughts in the arena around you. You were in your mother's pregnant belly and she's out somewhere and you're picking up all that. And you know it, but you have a buffer there to protect you. And you have these awareness conditions going on of preparation, preparatory expansion. Because you know in event you're coming out. You can feel it. You have this inner knowledge of expectation. When you exit, you take the breath. And then there's another realization there with the thought of you originally that of a success. I have a breath. And then you're in human condition and you use these words, you grow up, you mature. You forgot. You crossed the river Styx and you drank the water, which is forgetting, which is actually forgiving yourself for your past life experiences. So you can have a clean slate this time, so you say. And as you move forward in your new breath as a body, you become aware of emotions and pains and certain distinctions, and then you have this problem. This problem is your language, your communication devices. Each country speaks a different language. It has different forces around there. What you're beginning to recognize now, finally, is you are the result of the Tower of Babel. Everybody speaks a different language. The energy between the words are not even the same. For some words, they're there for certain conditions, and the other consciousness does not even understand that condition. So you're in an environment now where you're eventually going to have to learn to understand each other. And it's not by words, because the words are confusing. You say a word, you need a definition of it. Somebody says boat. Is it a big boat, little boat, sailboat? You don't know. So you have to define, and in the define, you've limited yourself. You have to understand the thought of breath. Now, you take a breath in, there are beings in the invisible. And when you contemplate what you call the divine force, your original thought, before you were born, that one, when you contemplate that, you get the invisible forces working to communicate with you. One of the difficulties now is you have a distinct problem. And that is, you're not aware of yourselves, you're more aware of other entities, but you're not even aware of the influence of these entities, invisible ones I'm talking about, that you would term are called the demonics. The ones that want to get in your body, but not stay in the body permanently, just get in to feel you a little bit and they get out. To feel themselves in flesh. And they corrupt you, because you are pristine when you were born. You were a pristine, original entity of self, developing what you call a consciousness of the 49 personalities with the 7 chakras. You're supposed to be educating them, and they're supposed to be educating you in the presence of everywhere, everywhen, all time, eternity. That's what you're supposed to do. And you're supposed to understand yourself. Now you use your sleep for the reconditioning of you. That's why it's very important to understand the moon. Because when you say you should be saying some prayers, a prayer for one, to ascend to the ascension process in the moon, which is an emotional gathering, we'll say. She rules the conditions of the emotions. And you are, well, let me put it this way. I know you think the moon rules the tides. But what you don't understand is that the tide communicates with the moon first and asks for pleasures in this regard and this regard. And you have entities that rule the ocean, invisible ones, the elementals. They establish communication constantly. There's not a delay in any communication with water. It's instantaneous. Water touches water, it shares all information with everything. You're in the process now of understanding that you're really a golden petri dish. All within you, everything is there. And you're learning to go through the chakra process for the unification of your chakras, so you can have a sense of accomplishment without the need for the approval of others. Their approval, or how you'd say,
Your opinion?
Yeah, they fit in, so you'll be comfortable and they'll be comfortable around you. You're learning to. You have a body, and you're learning to use your chakras and display through your auric field the energy of each chakra as you come out from the root up to the crown. Difficult part right now is the solar plexus. That's where the base of the soul is. And beings have difficulty with this soul, the spirit force called the soul. It's a pyramidal form there. We're very protective for the inner process of the self that is frightened. It wants to come up, but it's not sure of the environment it's coming up into. That happens through each chakra as it grows. So as the solar plexus starts becoming expanding, opening, you're going to receive things you might not like in a manner, for these other forces around you, the visibles, will jump in. So you need protection. So you use these words: peace, protection, and joy. So peace for all beings, which you have many beings inside you. You want to calm them down. Protection for the beings that are inside you that you're educating, which you said you would educate, and they are helping educate you. And joy in the process. Those 3 conditions will produce what you call harmony. Harmony. You know what harmony is in music. It's very balanced and everybody feels the same, but everybody's in their own position, enjoying the harmony, not attacking anyone, not contemplating a disturbance. You're enjoying the harmony. So you are now, everyone, listening to this and reading this, are now in the instruction phase of yourself to produce harmony within the chakras. And there's no arguments within the chakras. The arguments are coming from without. The chakras are enjoying being a chakra. They know what flowers are. They know the understanding of essence. They know the understanding of water. And they know the understanding of thought. You have the condition of flowers in your fields. they communicate with each other. And the wind blows through them and they dance. And there's a communication of beauty there. And the flowers stay at the sky, basically. Simply. And they are in harmony with one another. You have that same opportunity now within the chakras. And that's why it's important to have peace to all beings. Because you have a conflict going on in your world today. There are many that want war, literally, and they're not stopping. And because they don't think anyone's going to be stopping them. And this is what is termed the final grab from your adversary, trying to show you that you're already defeated, but you're not. You're not. This adversary is getting defeated because consciousness now is beginning to refuse the idea of battle and war. It's going to have an understanding of peace and justice. And there's a being that is called justice. He shows up, he creates justice. But that's why you need mercy with him. Because the justice you can't handle. You can't. Because you all know your own level of guilt, whether it's buried deep or not. And it's in a thought that you thought you were better than whatever created you. You got to understand you were given the gift of creation. And that was the gift of thought. The ability to think and see materialization. Which is you out of the womb. You did it. You inspired your father. And your mother accepted, and you were born in that condition. Now you need to understand this. And you also had to check out the phase of the moon that you were born under. Because that has an influence on the amount of emotional energy that you can process with dignity and originality, because it came with you as you came out of the womb. It was there. It's the moon force on your shoulder, we'll call it, literally. You've seen some images in your tarot cards of moons on shoulders of beings and moons in a certain position. There's for a reason, because it helps control the emotional conflict that goes on. One of the things you should, I won't say must, but this would be a benefit. When you drink your water, you say a prayer and blessings for your body and thank the beings that maintain the fluidity of the water. That maintain it. And when you do that, you're also reflecting into the power of the ocean. Now, a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. How much does the ocean weigh? And yet you have gravity, which holds that water down with strength. So how strong is gravity? Gravity is what holds the moon in its track around you. So you can understand the train of emotion you're going through cyclically. Women understand this better than men because of the 28-day cycle in their menstrual system. They understand the force of the moon better. There's a communication going on that's invisible that women connect to automatically. It's there. And men do not have that ability to frequency. They want it deeply, but they don't understand how to talk to the moon first to get it. And then they have this greed desire, particularly within the male fantasy right now. And that's why you get many of these transsexuals. They want to get into the feminine thing because they see the power of the feminine. And they think it's going to give them the power, but it's incorrect. You've created a disturbance. And that disturbance you're going to have to figure out. It's called, how do you say? You don't have a word for it. But when you do that, you've interfered with your original thought of the production of its manifestation. And you've wrapped yourself in what you call a dark force, a darkness. And there's a phrase, there's a light in the darkness, but there's darkness in the light, yin yang. And those both you need to understand, because it's you arguing with yourself. The argument within self ceases automatically when you simply stare at a glass of water and notice the invisible, the clarity of the water, the purity of the water, that's 67% of you. That water is 67, looks just like it, but when it gets inside you, it kind of changes its frequency, color, and things because of your thoughts. So when you drink pure water, see the clarity come in, it's crystal clear to you, and the crystal clearness goes in and communicates with all the other water in there, and the health begins to get to the body. You have to understand that. The manifestation ability that water has, what that entity can do, pretty much everything, pretty much. In conjunction with what you call the spiritual forces, the archangels, water can literally stand up if it needs to and present itself. It has 3 phases: gas, liquid, and solid. It is a communicator with everything, all creatures. In the appropriate use and communication with water, you're going to find yourself a new being. You'll be able to ask the water what food you should eat, literally, because the food grew from water, and the food was prepared for you from water, by water, and now you need to understand how to communicate to receive that information. Yeah? Yeah. You're going through your world now a cathartic point. There's going to become extreme clarity for some, and then extreme darkness for others, because of the argumentative conditions that you've promulgated here. The conflict is that you're going to find out water is going to be worth more than gold. But there should not be a charge for water. Water is free. It's free. It comes from the earth and it comes from the sky. Yet there are those that are grabbing water. Read things. It's known, it's seen, and the process of the perpetual nature of life is going to be understood here when you find out the scarcity of water. Right now you have availability, but unless you begin to understand the significance of water, you're going to lose that availability because you don't appreciate it. And then you're going to have to understand what condensation is. Water come out of nowhere with different temperature thing. You're going to need to regulate that fluidic force in your body. As the weather becomes more extreme, you're going to begin to feel the spiritual forces within the weather systems. Right now, you're getting your attention to the nature of phenomena of weather with extreme lightning conditions all over the planet. You're getting earthquakes, you're getting tsunamis, and you're getting volcanoes. You're walking in a daze. The human condition is the one that's supposed to be calming the waters, calming the volcanoes, but all the thoughts are going down because of the gravitational pull. Pulls water, gravity will pull water, hold it. It's going into the earth. And you're having a response from the earth, reacting to the consciousness that was within the water. That's what's coming up now. Your mother, earth, the elemental forces that provide the body with life and everything is reacting to the conditions within the water, which are thoughts of the human condition. You put it there. So it's going to adjust. It's going to adjust. And you're going to be in the process of being adjusted. This is why we say space is moving. Beings are getting this, but part of your consciousness is already in the space. It's anticipating the body to be present for the consciousnesses in the space to join the body. But the body is not prepared for the other shift in consciousness. You haven't been trained in the ability to allow entities in your body, and you know who they are, relatives. You think they're thoughts of relatives, but they're not. They're much more than thoughts. They're a presence that moves through the system of your genetic line. And you're responsible for your genetic line, because you're the last one, eventually, to correct it. So you're straightening the string, so to speak, of all the loops. And then you have your presence of glory, which you find out is your throne, and your temple, which you'll find out is your body, and which you'll find out your soul sits on its throne in the body, and you're the temple. And you're going to have to start understanding, conditions here, entities, that your body's a sacred temple. It's sacred. It's sacred. We'll use sacred 3 times. But then you go through sacred, it becomes holy, and that's a whole other different story. At that level, you're supposed to know what you're doing, accept the consequences of what has been done, and as you proceed, you correct yourself, and the doing becomes applicable in what you call toward perfection, because practice makes perfect. You need to practice. You need to practice. Yeah, when you have perfection as your entire goal, you could have disturbance. You need to practice and know that you're becoming toward perfect. Toward. So you perfect yourself, or improve yourself is a better word, because you can never be what you call perfect. There's only one perfection, and that's God, and the rest are distinct subcategories of it. The invisible to be visible, the darkness to be visible, and out of the darkness we all came, and the voice, and the what you call the sound. For before words there was music, there was sound. This is the harmonic of the magnetics as the planets pass one another around. There's a song there. It's a vibratory frequency that your heart chakra knows how to respond to, because the heart talks to everything. It does. It receives everything also. That's why it has so much difficulty here, because it picks up thoughts prior to thought being said. So you go through these balance things, posture and things that you work to strengthen the body in the form of the mind. But your mind is not in your head. That's your brain. That's your circuitry. Your mind, you're going to find out, is your body. That's what you did with your brain's information. Yeah. You are your mind. And as it goes through the chakras understand that. There's an entity in each chakra, a being sitting there. It has a display. And when the display when its curriculum is completed in itself, it displays its unitary force. You've seen those symbols in the Tibetan flags things, the streamers. There's a symbol for each chakra. That's you. That's the recognition of you with everyone else. And they all look the same. They all look the same because they vibrate the same. And there's a knowledge there. It's like you're in a great fraternity. Everyone knows everyone else. Everyone knows what their job is. Everyone does their job and it gets done. No comparison, no criticism, no nothing. Just do it and done. And then you have the idea of completion. Because daily, you need to have the sense of accomplishing something, at least one thing, because it made the day worthwhile for you. If you have no sense of accomplishment, then you are destroying the essence of your original thought. So that's why it's always